Hello, you guys. How are you all? Thank you guys for being here. So, first, I just want to apologize for pushing the live back a few minutes. I was waiting on the Lori Vallow Daybell verdict, and she was found guilty. So, I was happy to see that. I watched that over on her son's channel, Colby. And yeah, so today I wanted to talk to you guys about Okay, so first, let me say, I got to send all the special thanks, praise, love to B Crumbs. I appreciate her so much. She took the time and went and screenshot every answer, what we're about to go through, and put all of this together. And I really, really appreciate that. I'm so thankful. So Stephan Stern's parents have done another interview, and that is with a YouTube channel I wasn't familiar with. I've heard of it before, I think, but just not somewhere where I watch too much of, or was like, I've heard of it. But if you ask me, do I know this channel, I would say no. So, and many of you guys had talked about this interview. Well, they didn't actually go on the panel. They have been texting with this creator, and it's a lot of it is written through text and that kind of thing. So this creator had typed up a lot of their answers. They answered lots of questions. I think it was like over 70. I watched about 45 minutes into the video today, and so they hadn't even got through like all of these. A lot of this is going to be new to me, as it is to you guys. Maybe some of you have seen it. So okay, let me just show you. It's a little confusing, but it is very interesting. I think they wanted to clear the air on some things. And yeah, also, side note, tonight, I know that Jyn, I think at 9 or maybe 9:30, Jyn is going over his hearing from today. So Stephan had a hearing today. He also has another one tomorrow. Seems like they were trying to push back some stuff. Will push back this hearing. And it looks like probably tomorrow there's going to be some new information. There seems to be some witnesses coming and stuff, but we'll wait and watch that over on Jyn's channel. But, you know, it's in the process of working its way through the court system, the justice system. So let me show you. Let's see. I've linked to the channel, by the way, that did this interview, Guilty of Crime, and I want to drop it in the chat for you guys. It's in the description, so you can go check it out yourself if you want to. Not watch here or do it, you know, with commentary if you just want to go straight through it. Music City Mom, thank you for being a member for 23 months. And there was another one that freaking disappeared. Someone who joined, and now it's gone and I can't see it. So thank you for joining. I'm so sorry. I don't remember the name. Hey, everyone coming in. Yes, there is Jyn, but you know, that's up to you. Let us know so that we can let the chat know. But apparently, if you look in this article, I wasn't going to go through it, but regarding Wednesday, it says that so the prosecutor said that their motion they went through today states that this may affect presentation of evidence. The state has subpoenaed witnesses, and we have a significant amount of hearing time scheduled for tomorrow, Wednesday afternoon. So he said that today. So it appears that I think that's tomorrow at 2, which if you're going to stream it, I know Jyn's streaming Karen Reed, but if you are, let us know, or maybe do it all at once, whatever you want to do. But so B Crumbs has put together all the screenshots. If we get the interview, the whole thing is like I showed here first. This is the exact interview. It's screenshots on the screen, right, of every question, that kind of thing. B Crumbs has put together a roll of all the screenshots and also we have a list, like, to make it easier. We're going to actually go through the screenshot because some of the answers are cut off on our list here. That's what I mean. I know this took a lot of time and I really appreciate it. It's different. It's going through a written interview is different and going to take us more time than if it was just a, you know, somebody coming on a YouTube panel. So they speculate a lot. The channel, yeah. So I did hear, they had said at the beginning, Jyn was involved in this CSAM, and it seemed like the chat was kind of pressing her. And she goes, "Look, it's my opinion. I think she was. I have no evidence to prove that. I like to go based on. I mean, I speculate too, but as far as that goes, I've learned after lots of time on YouTube to kind of wait for evidence before doing too much accusing. Everybody does things differently. I mean, I know many of you guys are very angry at Jyn Soto. So I ain't going to judge how somebody does their thing, is how they do it. And then I'm thankful that they put out all the answers in this so we can go through it, So hello, coming in. Hold on one sec. Okay, so remember what we're going to hear. This is not evidence. This is not from police. I try to remind you guys all the time. We don't, believe something to be 100% factual unless we see it in a court document, hear it from police, hear it in a trial, hear it in a hearing, something like that. This is just what Stephan's mom and dad believe, right? So just remember that. And let's get started because it's a lot. It's probably going to take us a couple days because I don't want to go too far past 8. We'll probably go a few minutes because we had to push back because Melissa is on at 8 and I don't want to miss that either. Okay, so I'm going to start here with the first. I'm working backwards, but this is what was put out first before all the questions. So they said, as Stephan's parents, we feel compelled to address the misconceptions surrounding our involvement in these tragic events. We had minimal interaction with Stephan, Jyn, and Maddie as a family unit during their 7 years together. These were adults raising a child, and we were not part of their daily lives. So I just want to pause for a second and say, I think the way I see it, they're kind of pushed to doing this interview because they're getting some harassment and stuff. At the end of the day, they didn't do this, right? So, and I believe we've been hearing those calls, but we have to remember when that happened. And now there's been so much more evidence that came out, but they did show here's one of the texts that Deb had gotten. Do you have any poodles not tainted by the fact that your son started raping a little girl starting when she was 8 years old? I wouldn't want God to think you were blaming Maddie for coming onto your man-child son. You're disgusting and a fake Christian, things like that. So I'm thinking the way I see it is maybe they felt compelled to speak out because they're getting a lot of attacks. I don't know. But let me continue because she goes on to say, when Maddie mentioned co-sleeping, I immediately addressed it, though I didn't believe it warranted reporting to authorities. I counseled them to lock their bedroom door and refuse to allow such arrangements in our home. As parents, we try to protect our children, but sometimes they must learn difficult lessons themselves. Stephan was raised to respect rules and authority. Despite his flaws, impatience, occasional anger, he showed intelligence, artistic talent, and empathy. Tragically, many who benefited from his generosity were first to defame him and us after these events. So remember, he had some friends that spoke out. Some of them said that his mom paid them off because they knew he was doing bad stuff. Hi, Guilty of Crime. We're just going over your interview, and thank you for doing it and putting it out. I really appreciate it because it gives us some insight. Hey, that Carly. I lost friends on TikTok because I didn't want to send Jyn Soto to the electric chair. Yeah, people get, I've seen fights break out over cases like that before. In the Watts case, I don't want to do that here. I want us to all have our opinions and it's all good. You know what I mean? No matter how you feel, as long as it's respectful, it's all good. So I think though, that's why she says those, because remember in the phone calls, she talks about Stephan, you were so good to your friends and you would never snitch them out and you would take the blame for stuff in order, like, to keep from snitching them out. You'd get in trouble. So they go on to say, the YouTube community has largely followed a path of speculation rather than investigation, which, true, right? We see it all the time. Some cases it takes over, and it's just disgusting how far it can go. They say, we chose to speak with Lauren and John because of their honest approach, declining numerous other interview requests. Despite our efforts to share the truth, we've been subjected to doxing threats and hateful messages. The continuous spread of lies about our marriage, parenting, and supposed failure to recognize warning signs is particularly painful. You cannot miss what was never revealed to you. These channels profit from our suffering, selling merchandise and encouraging vicious comments without moderation. We deeply regret giving any interview at all. Okay, now this is important. I want to get into the questions, but this is important to me because this part. Our advice to families in similar situations would be remain silent, as sharing the truth brings no comfort when facing those who wish worse for you. We had no part in what happened to Maddie, whom we loved. Her suffering is soul-crushing, especially knowing our son was involved. We're grieving parents, mourning Maddie's death, facing the potential loss of our son to the justice system, and questioning if we or the medical community could have provided better guidance for Stephan's mental and psychological development after the TBIs. Please allow us to process our pain without the additional burden of public hatred. So a couple things. First of all, I would give it, to me, if my advice to families would be never, ever, ever don't do the interviews. Yeah, sure, put the pictures out, go to the news and share the flyers, do events to bring awareness if you have a missing loved one. But these online communities tear these people apart. Now, regarding, it's hard because I to everyone's anger because I'm angry too. What happened was disgusting, but I do have to, and I'm glad that they've spoken out like this, because getting to hear and see a little more of their perspective, like what we heard on the calls and in the beginning of all of this, I don't know. It's just, I think that they'll have slightly different opinions from what they did when everything first happened. So we'll see. Gray Hughes does do maps really well, Cynthia. He does a lot of that kind of recreation stuff really good. We call him. It's this type of thinking that creates a man-child, Teacup says. Everyone is entitled to my own opinion. Oh, well, guilty. See, he wasn't the only channel either, though. He also went on other channels, and we do know that a channel, someone came out and admitted, I was paid to act like I knew this person and go on that TREV 757 channel. And that, according to what's been put on YouTube, on different panels and people coming out and speaking forward. So, okay. All the stuff that was missing, he was stealing it, just like the mother's money that was all gone. Well, we have to look at this from that perspective. Remember, this is his mom and dad. So will they be kind of making excuses, or maybe to themselves? I'm sure they're doing this privately, trying to figure out how this happened and kind of sometimes making excuses, but other times just trying to get to the bottom of the why. You know what I mean? Deborah Stearns completely denied giving anyone money to cover up for Stephan Stearns. And again, you guys, the link to the Guilty of Crime channel, who's speaking with Deborah, who's put out all this information, is in the description box. Okay. MK. Yeah, that ended his channel essentially. Right. Okay, so let's keep going. because this will probably take us a little bit to get through. So, Jai, Chris, and I both appreciate the chance you are giving us to dispel some rumors and misinformation. I know you are taking a risk doing this. You also need to understand the infinite, I don't know that I've ever seen that word before. The amount of time we actually spent with Jyn and less with Maddie over those 7 years. Jyn and Stephan were friends and on and off again, boyfriend and girlfriend. It was also Jyn's idea that she and Stephan hook up, not Stephan's. They did not cohabitate for all of those years. Stephan lived off and on with us as well. When living with us, he would go for extended visits, a week at a time sometimes, but usually just a long weekend. Given that, I don't know that I'm the best person to truly describe Jyn or Maddie Soto, but I'll share with you what I do know. There may be repetitive questions or questions just restated, but basically the same, to which my answer will be AA, asked and answered. And they say that I know you want the answers. They want the answers. And we want answers too, which we are willing to provide for you to the best of our knowledge. We, more than anyone, want to know the truth. And no offense to them, I want to hear what they have to say. We're going to go through it, like we regardless of this. But I don't believe Stephan would ever. I don't know that just because he's told them something, I still don't believe it. We heard him make excuses about why he hadn't called. And I don't know. I guess we'll see. Let's get into it and we'll see. I know Vicky VA. I've seen that. Hello, Melissa Jade. Chai. Did I say it wrong? I'm so sorry. Hey, Nicole B. If I did. Jay. Okay, thank you. I was wondering that earlier too when it was on your screen because I watched I skipped ahead, but I was actually at like maybe 48 minutes and I saw the name on the screen, but I had never heard you say it yourself, so I didn't know. But okay. So let's go back to these screenshots. All right. What was Jyn's personality like? And she said vacant, always high, sleeping, or segregating from us in Stephan's room on the computer or watching TV, which doesn't surprise me because we've talked about many times before, her head was deep, deep, deep in the sand. I don't even know if you could see her feet sticking out. Like she just based on, that's my opinion, of course, based on what she's said in her interviews and stuff and what we've seen of her. When I saw this earlier, I thought, interesting choice. So I know I cut out, you guys. I don't know what is going on with the Starlink. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me if we have like little short bursts up to 10 seconds of me cutting out occasionally. I don't know what's going on, but regardless, I was saying we knew she took a lot of heavy medication. The always high, the word she used, kind of interesting, but let's continue. Hey, Harley Quinn. Did Jyn ever talk about goals or future expectations for Maddie? No, she did speak about her own goals, though. She wanted to go to school to be a nurse. When she couldn't qualify for that, then computer hacker. That was the goal, but it was computer programming. Apparently, she might have been decent at that, but she couldn't make herself get up and go to a job, much less school. So this was so interesting to me because, the creator had pointed this out as well, like, you would know a lot about computers then. And, the creator's thoughts were, you knew right where the gun was in the room, which I don't even remember where that came out. But regardless, there was a freaking, we saw in the pictures, a tripod sitting there, all the disgusting, lube and stuff. And she knew all about electronics. I found that interesting, especially with his excuse that he accidentally deleted everything off of his phone. Factory reset it, not once, but twice. Hey, Coffee and Skeletons. I am definitely missing some comments because while I'm reading one thing, you can't read another thing at the same time. You know what I mean? But Stinky Stearns is, yes. Stephan's mom, and the link is in the description. She did not go on panel, but she was like backstage or on the phone texting, and they had agreed to do this interview. And they wrote out, the creator put out a post and got a bunch of questions from her community, and they answered them. And here's another thing that I heard today watching this that was really interesting. There was no bounds. Like there wasn't any set agreement. We won't answer this or we don't want to talk about that. They really answered everything. So I thought that was interesting. I know, NWP. I really think it's like the trees growing up and it needs to be repositioned. We've tried a little bit, but Triple A says, I feel they both were selling content on the dark web. Possible. Oh, Coffee. I like to keep up with you guys in the chat, but okay, let's continue. So the next one, did Maddie ever talk about goals she had for the future? I think this one got cut off. Yeah, that's okay. We're going to go to the next one. Did Maddie bring Jyn joy or did Jyn find Maddie intolerable? And she responded, truthfully, Maddie brought Jyn money, child support, and support for children through Florida's welfare. Also qualified for a nicer apartment. She would foist Maddie on anyone who she could. Her sister, her mother, Stephan. She was a very hands-off person, and the fighting was getting worse, which sounds like, I don't know, like I can believe that. We know that there was some fighting happening. We're hearing that from interviews with friends, and the teachers were even involved in. Maddie was going through a lot. She was not making good grades at school. She wasn't showing up. She was sleeping through class a lot. I mean, talking about fighting at home, talking about wanting to run away. Stephan talks about them fighting. Can't believe anything he has to say, but I could believe the fighting part. And then also, it's interesting she says she would foist Maddie on anyone who she could, because remember, who called 911? Jyn's sister was doing a lot of that stuff. So I can believe that too. CC True Crime. You know what? I think it's still, I want to hear from them. Like, even if I don't believe he would ever be honest with them. So I'm not sure they have the answers, but hearing their perspective, knowing more, I think it's important to do. I really do. But I can understand your thoughts. Like in opinion, I can get where everybody's coming from, honestly. Didn't that apartment belong to Jyn's father? Yes, it did. Now, I don't know exactly what happened, but yes. Hey, Brandy. Okay, excuse me, you guys. I have to mute to cough. Like I'm just, my allergies. All right, let's keep going. So, how often did Maddie or Jyn call Stephan to mediate their arguments? Have you ever overheard them on the phone? And then Stephan's mom says every time they fought, which was a lot for the last 2 years of Maddie's life, he was their referee, the one that could talk either or both of them down. And I'm talking screaming, physical fights. I can believe that. I mean, remember, another thing I want to point out as we hear like some of this, Maddie's friends in their police interviews said that Maddie and Stephan were very close, that they would FaceTime all day long, all night long, that friends would call Maddie and she'd go, well, I'm on the phone with Stephan. I mean, if you want to join the call, you can, but basically I'm not getting off, so I can believe that he could talk both of them down. Hey, Grish. We have reviewed one of your videos here a while back, and it was awesome. Can the mods do me a favor and drop the channel that Guilty of Crime that did the interview in the chat occasionally, and Grisha's channel as well, because I really enjoy your videos. And I'm going to drop Jen's channel, who's streaming the hearing, and then my friend Melissa's channel, who's live in a little bit. Thank you guys so much. All right, let's keep going. How did Jyn talk to Stephan? Did she ever boss Stephan around, or was Jyn the type to baby talk or sweet talk him? Needy, lacking energy. I never heard them fight. Mostly it was just her complaints. I'm sitting over here like, that checks. Does it not? Okay. What reason did Stephan give you about having to pay rent for a separate room at Jyn's place? And they said because they had entered into a platonic, non-sexual relationship, more just friends again. Because of their relationship, Stephan became another tenant and paid full rent. Well, this is interesting too, because remember, Stephan's dad says when they left the interview where Jyn was showed the photos of what was going on, and you remember when she was like, he needs a good attorney. I believe she even texted him that from inside, but then he drove her after that. And he said she was more talkative than ever. And during this conversation, she said, me and Stephan, we weren't having sex anymore. We didn't have much of a sex life. Like, I was on a lot of medications and I didn't really have the urge. So what did she see their relationship as? I'm curious. Hey, Midnight Lace. So Stephan Stearns should have paid if he lived there. Agree. Anonymous, that is just heartbreaking. Cynthia says, a lot of these questions are baiting, in my opinion, by addressing Jyn in a different way than Stephan. Well, I'm of the opinion that just so far, Stephan is, not an opinion. He is the one facing the death penalty for this. Jyn hasn't been charged. We haven't seen any evidence yet that could say that she definitely was like in the know about their relationship, not rock solid evidence, or that she was in the know about not relationship. That sounds terrible because that's not what it was. And I don't want to minimize at all the abuse that was going on. I don't think that she was in the know of that necessarily by evidence. We haven't seen that. And also, like all the pictures and stuff we haven't seen, the police said they checked, they've looked high and low through everything, like double looked twice, and just couldn't find the evidence that she was involved in Madeline's murder or the abuse that she endured. So at the end of the day, was there a lot? Do we know that you have to be neglectful? You're sending your child up there. Like, there's a lot of reasons to be angry, but Stephan is the one who's on trial for murdering her and abusing her for years and years. So I don't want to focus too much on just Jyn, even though I think that the conversation should be had and the truth should be out there, period. And, I'm sorry, but no one could tell her like it is better than that officer did when he was interrogating her. And because of that, I believe in my heart that the police will do whatever they can do. If there was a crime committed and, that they can prove, that they will charge, and we might have to be patient. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. At the end of the day, he's the one in there who's been charged. So let's not forget that. All right, let's keep it going. How much times or how many times did Madeline stay with you and Chris, including overnight? So over the years, maybe 30 to 45 days. That's a lot though, right? She would often stay with relatives. It was more fun for Maddie to be with cousins and friends than being in Northport with nothing to do. That makes sense. Why did Jyn, Stephan, and Madeline move to work for you and Chris? So and remember, this is in the timeline. And if you guys haven't seen the timeline I put together, you can join my Patreon on the free tier. There's it's interactive. There's links in it that go to their different interviews, police documents. Just we've included details from the indictment in it. It's well, I included, but B Crumbs is putting together a visual timeline for us. So we're working on some more as far as that goes. But some of this, is mentioned there, but it says in May of 2020, we moved to Northport. Within a few months, Jyn and Maddie decided to join Stephan. So Jyn rented an apartment living with us at the time and then moved in with Jyn and Maddie and Sailor, their dog. Mid-2021, Jyn decided to relocate back to Kissimmee and Stephan moved back in with us. Okay. Jyn always looks for the easy way out in every aspect. Hey, Natasha. Thank you guys for dropping that. In my opinion, Jyn is awful, no doubt, but was clueless about Maddie's death and truly thought Stephan would never hurt her that way. I'm starting to believe that as well, but I still have a problem with sending her to bed with him, with knowingly telling police they lay together and he's in his boxers and she's laid up in the crook of his arm. Like, I'm sorry, it's inappropriate and it's disgusting. And I don't know, things could be different if you would have put a stop to that, maybe, And that is frustrating. The pig wouldn't have been able to abuse that little girl for all them years if Jyn didn't have him there for all them years. All right, let's keep going. Lots of it is inappropriate, but what it was the intention. Yeah, there was a camera tripod in the bedroom. How did she not see that? There should be when you allow your child to sleep with them knowing they're perverted. Okay. So it says here, apparently Stephan's social media had him listed as a real estate agent. How long did they work and live near you and Chris? And they said that his license was inactive and he helped Chris from time to time. And they had no idea what Jyn was doing. So what reasons were given to you as to why the relationship between Stephan and Jyn was always off and on? This is a good question. Stephan talked about Jyn being inconsistent with her meds and the depression she would then suffer that affected him and Maddie. She became a weepy black hole of depression and used vape as well as other substances, which further complicated things. People who are going through oh, you guys, thank you, MK, and thank you, Hilson House of Crazy, both of you guys, for gifting memberships. Thank you so much. And welcome to the new members. But people who are, think about if you know somebody in active addiction, how selfish they are. This is what Jyn reminds me of. And their only focus is their addiction, and especially when they don't have exactly what they need or they're searching for more or better and nothing else matters but that. And that's the impression I get of Jyn. It truly is. I don't know. I'm curious what you guys think about that. All of the we. Exactly. Nancy, I'm glad you brought that up. I had forgotten about that. The we. That Jyn talking as if she was there that morning or with him that morning and awake and up, seeing Maddie before she goes to school or taking her to school. In my opinion, that is her trying to get in the way. And I said this at the time. Instantly, to me, it looked like you're trying to keep people from questioning him or looking at him. And maybe not necessarily that she knew he was involved, but you just don't even want him questioned because it doesn't look good or something. I don't know. Did not like that at all. Okay, let's keep going. So she and used vape as well as other substances. We know that she was using marijuana. We know that Stephan was asking his parents for anti-anxiety medication. We also know that he was giving Maddie double doses at times, right? Which, let's keep going. Can you tell us about any beautiful moments you and Maddie shared? They say lots. New puppies, iPad art and puzzles, beginner crochet, making bracelets with a kit I gave her, and movies. She asked if she could learn to cook some things Stephan liked, and I said, sure. Wow. So I taught her a few things. She could learn to cook some things Stephan liked. What? Hey, Humanimal. Good to see you. And the fact he had only ever dropped her off at school a few times. Yes, AAA. He rarely ever took her to school, but yet they tried to make it like she wanted to be dropped off far away because she always did that because she didn't like his car, when that's not true either. Hey, Brandy. So the link is in the description of the original live. There's a YouTube channel named Guilty of Crime who has been speaking with Chris and Deborah Stearns, and they agreed to do this interview with them. So they didn't come on panel, but they've been texting back and forth. And if you go to the link, you'll see they share a lot of screenshots of their texts and different things like that. Another indication that JS is lazy AF. I think it's odd how much hate Jyn gets when Maddie's biological father gets a free pass. Well, I think, Cynthia, because Dad wasn't knowingly sending her upstairs with this guy, or and that kind of thing. Even though I've seen him get some criticism. We've went over their situation. I don't believe there was a court order in place. But, with anything, hindsight is 2020. Okay. Oh, and the person who joined at the beginning, Sharon, thank you for joining. I couldn't remember your name, but I have it right here. Okay. In the screenshot from one of you guys. And thank you for that so much. Yeah, he's in a different state. At the end of the day, I don't want to spend too much time giving anybody the side eye or the hate or the negativity or questioning them like that. Whenever Stephan, there's a lot of evidence against him, and there's a lot of reasons to be upset with Jyn too. So, but in my opinion, the focus should be him. But all right. How was Maddie as a whole? Bright, loving, giggly, energetic, singing, playing with the dogs. She didn't walk as much as Skip. Now, that's pretty interesting. As much as Skip around, she was precious, because we heard from her teachers, she was sad a lot. She was crying a lot. She was sleeping a lot in class, head down a lot, or absent a lot. So it's total opposite. We also saw the picture she drew with the girl crying. It said summertime sadness. That seems a little off, and maybe that's how she was at one point. At what point did y'all personally notice a change in Maddie's attitude, mood, and behavior? And they said they never saw any change. So that may be why they weren't around them very much. Did Jyn limit your time with Maddie? No. Do you see Maddie the way Jyn describes Maddie? No. Do you and your husband think that Stephan would take care of you both in later years? We had hopes that he would be close enough to us to help if we needed it. However, we were taking steps to assure we didn't need to depend on him or anyone to support or care for us. Now, that is just sad. I will say, so I said there was no bounds. There was. There was only one thing they didn't want to talk about, and it was their other child who doesn't want to be connected to this, and that's fair. I mean, to me, that's fair. They don't deserve to be. So, but that just reminded me of that. Okay, hold on one second. I think we're going to have to go to the video for part of this. Hold on. Okay, so this is where we're at pretty much. We're going to skip. I'm going to even go past the questions about his sibling. Okay. I have my list here. Let me look. So sorry, you guys. I just want to make sure we don't miss anything. Oh, wait. No, I don't have to do that. So again, stuff about the sibling. Was Maddie alert and assertive or opinionated? Yes. Alert, yes. Assertive and opinionated, not around us. Was Maddie happy as much as she could be? Yes, to our knowledge and infrequent observations. No, I know I have all the questions. I thought I had messed up. Like I clicked on something and it wouldn't allow me to go to the next one. So I was like, uh-oh. I'm just gonna, like in a panic, go to the video. But let me check on you guys. All the signs were there, and either nobody paid attention or nobody cared enough to speak up. Both are incredibly disappointing. I agree, Natasha. I have a black earbud connected to my phone watching this and watching the verdict. I'm really happy to see that. Okay. Was Maddie bilingual or did she just speak English? I think so. Jyn's family was bilingual, so I think Maddie was, but I never heard her speak Spanish. Then, if you saw Jyn Soto today, what would you say to her? I wouldn't even acknowledge her, much less talk to her. So this is going to get interesting in us, like here at this part, I think, because they're talking about what they think should happen to Jyn. We're going to hear more of their thoughts on Jyn and this situation. So when did Stephan first tell you that he found Maddie unalived? Was it before he was arrested or after? And they said on the jail call, you've all heard by now. Now remember, on that call is when he says he wishes he would have ran downstairs and shaken her and waken her up. So that's obviously Jyn that he wishes he would have shaken and waken up. And it seems like his dad caught that in the call. I'd be curious what they think about that now. Hey, Trulia. Cynthia said they were teaching Maddie Spanish, but she couldn't speak it fluently. Thank you, Cynthia. Hey, Misty Tails. I wouldn't even acknowledge her, much less talk to her. How are you and Chris coping with this other than through religion? That is a really complicated answer. Obviously, our lives have changed. Hold on, let's see. Okay, yeah, we're about to get to the Jyn, where she's at and stuff. So what advice would you give others in similar positions as they have found themselves in? We really considered this question. It's really simple. Don't speak to anyone, including the news media. Don't answer your phone unless you know who is calling. Consider getting new phone numbers and don't answer the door. That's sad, but it's true. Like I said at the beginning, I truly do believe that. They say get surveillance cameras, regardless of what you say, as truthful and honest as it may be. The media and worse, social media and YouTubers will twist and distort anything you say. The less you say, the better. Your truth doesn't matter. How sad is that, though, right? That social media can't be a place, because we've seen this. Like, look at Sebastian Rogers' case, the missing teenager from Tennessee. There's one side of the internet attacking the mom and blaming and accusing her and her husband, another side of the internet attacking the dad, and it's just chaos. It's so messed up. And I don't know. I think as families, especially if your loved one is missing, you'd be so desperate to get this story out, to get attention to it, even if they're not. Because I just can't imagine even going through something like this and how it would take over your life. And you would want people to know whether your loved one was missing, murdered, or if you believed they were falsely accused, you would want to speak about it. But it's tough because social media is a nasty place and people will twist your words. What you say will never be right for everyone. The best thing you can do is, if you're going to speak out, do it honestly. I believe that they're speaking it honestly from their perspective. However, they're coming from the perspective as his parents. So it's tough. They're going to think of him in a way different way than we do, right? So did Maddie have anyone in her life that truly loved her? Absolutely. We loved her. And I strongly believe her extended family loved her as anyone who knew her would. Then they say, do you believe Jyn, or the question is, do you believe Jyn and Stephan were making money on the CSAM, child sexual abuse material? They say we have unproven suspicions based on our knowledge of their financial situations. Now, that's really interesting. What does that mean? Like, they were walking around with money they shouldn't have? I'm assuming. It's hard not to kind of make assumptions and stuff when you say things like that, right? Because we go back to this last answer. YouTubers will twist and distort anything you say. And this isn't twisting or distorting, but I could be perceiving it wrong. The way I take that is, we have unproven suspicions based on the knowledge of their financial situation. So we know they weren't working, but they had a lot of money, something like that, right? So makes it hard. Then they go on to say, where or how did you hear that Jyn was in the loony bin? This was the question written here. I didn't call it that. They say, not sure. I think a former roommate posted that comment. So remember, we thought, like, we heard them say she was in the hospital. It may not even be true. If it's coming from a comment a roommate posted, I don't know. Also, I am not of the belief that, well, let me just say, if they were both together selling CSAM material, I do believe that there will be evidence of that and it'll be proven. This doesn't need to be a conspiracy, in my opinion, by the end of this. Now I can see why it would be, right? But by the end, I don't believe that they were. Just so far, based on the evidence we have, it doesn't appear that way. Stephan had 35,000 images on that hard drive his dad turned in, and they hadn't even been looked at for 4 years. I don't know, but we heard police talk to Chris, Stephan's dad, last summer, that call that happened around July. They told him, we have dug through everything, trying to find evidence, and we haven't found it. So, and allegedly, Annie, I saw that the guy they were calling Santa, That's just being in the same area, though, isn't enough for me to connect the two. I need to see evidence of it. But yeah, no evidence Jyn was in a hospital. Another creator created that and people went with it. Well, according to this, his parents saw it in a comment posted by a former roommate. And we all thought because of their call, his mom was saying she's in the hospital. Now I don't even believe that necessarily. Like, I'm a person, I need to see the evidence. Even my best friends know I want to see the receipts. Like, I will trust and believe you and take your word, but I'd like to see it. Meaning my like closest friends. So, hey CB. Oh, I hope your surgery went okay. Okay, let's see. I want to go in a second, but let's try to get through some more of these. Do you believe we have that one? How long was she in the hospital? I don't know. Do you know whether Jyn alienated Tyler? I have no knowledge about the dynamics of Jyn and Tyler's relationship. I wouldn't say that either, because they weren't, the way I understand it, they never went to court for custody of Maddie. So he could have taken her to court if he wanted to. It sounds like the Soto family hated little Maddie. Is it because she looked like her father? No, I don't believe they hated her at all, especially because she looked more like the father. Good on you, mom, Stephan's mom, for not feeding into stuff like that. Like, I don't believe that. But did Chris, I did that thing again. Hold on again. I'm sorry. Did Chris have a job lined up for Stephan? Wait. You'll hear my doggy snoring. Lost our spot, so we're just gonna go. Let's see. Here it is. Geez. Okay. Did Chris have a job lined up for Stephan when he moved back to their house in November or December? Was that the reason he moved out of just another of Jyn's lies? They said arrangements were being made for a possible apprenticeship. Given Stephan's precarious financial situation, the need for a better paying job with a career path, we thought it best for Stephan to return home to focus on a job with a career path. From the time we began the discussions in the late fall of 2023 and Stephan had his first interview, the company decided to freeze hiring and the job opportunity evaporated. Did they know Jyn was planning to move him back to her house? And they said, no, we did not. Not sure what that question is. I'm sorry. That's pretty funny. After Maddie giggled when she told you about co-sleeping, why didn't you do anything? She said, I did, in fact, take immediate action. As I mentioned in Lauren and John's interview, I called Jyn and Stephan into the living room within minutes of hearing that story from Maddie, sat them down and told them what Maddie told me. After they confirmed the co-sleeping, I made it crystal clear that I heartily disapproved of the co-sleeping. She was too old for it. Yeah, I'm not sure what they're asking either. It says this is a strangely worded question, and I'm not sure what you're asking, and same. Oh, okay. We're going to go until 8:30 actually. I think we'll be able to get through these by then. Okay, so what did you mean by saying it was Maddie's time to not be here, unalived? Now, remember, this was something that upset everyone, right, when we heard this on these calls. So this is a good question. They say, when I made that comment, it was coming from a place of deep sorrow and spiritual reflection. At that point, we already knew about the essay. I said we all have our time to leave this earth, and maybe God... Let's see, I already knew the way. And maybe God thought this would be a good time to take Maddie, because when I said it, we already knew the essay. That was my reason for that comment. I couldn't imagine God allowing that to happen to Maddie, or that my son could be part of it. But sometimes even God can't just make things stop except to take the person out of the situation. I wasn't being callous or flippant by saying it, anything but that. I find solace in knowing that Maddie is in heaven, surrounded by God's love. No more pain, no more abuse, just eternal love. Wow. At least she's willing to call it what it is, because it is abuse, and yeah. Okay, let's continue. In retrospect, did you see red flags now that you may have missed in Stephan's childhood, basically adolescence or teens? No to any red flags. He participated in ROTC, sports, and his friends. He was a typical teenager. Yeah, I didn't even get into that question because I was trying to get through them, but yeah. After his hearing, after everything comes out, we'll come back and have like whatever we can't do of the questions and talk about this big hearing tomorrow. Why did you do nothing? Already answered. Are you still in contact with Stephan? And are you financially supporting him? You know it. Yes. Hey, Amber. Why would you think, oh, Stephan wanted to know where the body was? That's why he placed her where he did when he took every step to try and conceal where he put Maddie. Why would she even think it's okay to make that comment? Please explain why you think this when Maddie was in a rural area. That's a confusing question, but they say, we have no insight into Stephan's thought process. We can only imagine he was under a lot of stress. Oh, dear God. Yeah, stress he caused himself. Why are you speaking out now? To provide clarity, since there has been considerable misinformation about Stephan, his early life, upbringing, and our roles as parents. Please understand, from the moment of Stephan's arrest, we fully cooperated with all authorities involved, and that is true. We would not know. Uh-oh. Is my internet going to cut out? I'm anticipating it. We would not know about those 35,000 images on the hard drive if it wasn't for his dad. That's just the truth, Back to our regularly scheduled programming. It cut out for a second. Oh, Jyn, you changed your thing to 2:45 tomorrow? Okay, awesome. Now I know what's going on. I'll explain to you guys at the end here. Okay, so what were the dynamics of Jyn and Stephan's relationship like? Good question. Totally codependent, but Jyn was the controller. Jyn could not stand being out of control of Stephan. When he was with us, he walked around with her on FaceTime. I'd look up and there would be Jyn staring back, oh my God, from his propped up phone. When I asked her if she was high, Wow, because she looked high, she'd smirk and say, "Yep, I'm baked." I find that funny since you refer to her as a potato. Wow. So we know that Maddie sat around on FaceTime with Stephan, right, from her friend, like we talked about earlier. So, wow. Okay. What was Jyn's personality before she met Stephan? How did it change? They didn't know her before. When Jyn worked at Eco Homes, how were your interactions with Jyn? There was none because I never worked there. Chris was not in her division and had no supervision over her. Jyn's time there was very short, less than a month, I believe. Chris did not hire Jyn or fire Jyn, nor did he own the company. He managed sales and marketing. Okay. I think we had thought, well, I don't know. I have to go back to the timeline, actually. These are good questions. What was your view on the death penalty before, and what is it now? We have not really given it much thought until now. I can't say I always agreed with it, but we know it is part of the package that Stephan may be facing. While this is painful to consider as parents, we have come to a place of acceptance of that which we cannot change, which would be really hard. It's heartbreaking. What do you think is a fitting punishment for your son? There is still so much we don't know about what happened, oh Lord, and the impact of his traumatic brain injuries. Oh my God. Okay. From what we've been told by multiple medical professionals who shared information with us concerning new information about the effects of TBI during juvenile years, perhaps long-term placement in a hospital for therapy and rehabilitation in a secure facility. There is no rehabilitation for this. I've said this many times on my channel. I just strongly believe in my heart and soul. If a person is attracted to kids or babies, they will never change. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Do not let them out. They should not be free. And I don't give a fuck if it's some fucked up thing in their genes or a traumatic brain injury. Either way, they deserve to be locked up, and we should all be kept safe from them and our kids kept safe from them. Truly, that's how I feel. These people don't change. And it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Also, if it is a traumatic brain injury, which I'll wait for an expert at trial, but I'm just not buying that. But even if it is, at the end of the day, it's still, this person is violent. This person is dangerous. This person took the life of a precious child. God only knows what she would have went on to do with her life. So I'm sorry, he doesn't deserve one. Even if he hadn't taken her life, just simply, let me not say simply, just all of the years of torture and torment that he put her through, I think that he deserves life in prison and the death penalty. I don't know how I feel about the death penalty. I go back and forth, but when it comes to somebody who's attracted to kids, and this person is clearly attracted to children, because it wasn't, again, hard drive from before he was with Jyn and Maddie, before he lived there with them, before he knew them, he had 35,000 pictures of other kids, child sexual abuse material. And yeah, so he's clearly, even if it was just one child, I still think that's enough to show he doesn't, he's not, these people don't change. Let me not get on a tangent. Let's keep going. But I'm sorry. That rehabilitation word, I think, is what it was. It just kind of threw me off, because it's like, what? Huh? No. I'm sorry, but no. Mm-mm. Okay. Let me shake it off and get back to it. All right. Let's keep going. Has this all cost you and Chris any business opportunities? And they say no. After 7 years, we decided it was time for a change. While the Southwest Division faced some challenges with project timelines and adjusting to market conditions, these circumstances actually created an opportunity for Chris to explore new career paths. The timing worked out well for us. Do you and Stephan have a relationship with his sibling? We do. Stephan does not. Again, I don't want to get into that. What do you want to see happen to Jyn Soto, co-defendant and in jail? Like, wow. Okay. I'm so curious, like what, oh, I guess we'll wait for trial to see what they have to say. But I have a lot of questions. And don't get me wrong, even though I was a little frustrated and, with the rehabilitation word, again, I want to say at the end of the day, I don't think that anyone should be harassing or, whatever to his parents. They are not the ones who did this, the same way with Jyn, right? Because as much as she's pissed me off and I have a lot of questions I'm waiting for answers for, I just don't have evidence that she knew everything. We have to wait. So at the end of the day, we can't just be accusing people all willy-nilly and just like, I'm not trying to be rude to them. They don't deserve it. I do understand they are not their son. Just a little frustrating sometimes, some of this. But how has your extended family reacted? Have they been supportive of you at all? And they say they are supportive of us. Stephan, not so much. And I can understand that. I'm curious how you guys would feel. Like, let's say that someone in your family, they're accused of this. Would you? I'd be the same. I'm sure probably nobody wants anything to do with him, and for a good damn reason. Okay, let's keep it going. When Maddie was around you alone, how'd she act? Already answered. How did Jyn and Stephan treat Maddie in your presence? Kindly. They really are in a terrible position, Neat says. Why does Deb hate Jyn's family so much? She says, I disliked them, not hated them. I didn't even know she disliked them so much. Like, where did that come from? I missed it. My brother-in-law was arrested for child abuse. My husband and I disowned him immediately. I'm so sorry, Tracy. That had to be hard, but I don't blame you. You can't, there are some things you just can't support and stand behind, Oh, I would sever all ties. I would not support at all. In my opinion, he would not have even hooked up with Jyn if it had not been for Maddie. That is what he liked most about her young daughter, in my opinion. Well, here's the thing, because, in those calls you get this, it kind of seems like there might be an impression happening that makes it appear that this was like, oh, well, no, it's not an impression. They straight up ask, was it any other kids? No, it was just like he made it appear as if it was like this exception Stephan made because he just cared about Maddie so much and Maddie cared about him, like that kind of thing. And then where was I going? My thought was just like I saw it and it flew away. I'm so sorry. Hold on. Oh, geez, where was I even going to? I know, Dead-Eye Danny, that's me. Damn, what was I going to say? It was a good, maybe it'll come back to me. Oh, I was going to say his parents should remember, because it appears they're getting the impression that this was like, they're like making it not as bad as it truly was, and as if it was consensual, which, number one, bottom line is, can never be consensual with someone at her age. I'm sorry. It just cannot. There's no possible way. I don't care if they are saying that they want to do something. They cannot consent. Their brain is not developed. It just can't. But also, do not forget, in the indictments, when they are describing each and every charge, one of them takes place when she was very little, 8 years old, she was 8 years old. And he was threatening her, if she didn't do certain things, she wouldn't get to watch the videos she wanted to watch. Now, regardless, even if that never happened, it would still be just as bad, all right? Because you cannot consent. Like, we don't even entertain that shit here. But also, there's even more evidence that it's far beyond that. And, it's time to wake up and smell the roses. Okay, that's all. Took a second to get that out. Let's keep going so we can get through these. And then after the hearing, we'll talk, we'll come back and kind of give our thoughts. Let me sleep on this and kind of digest all of this, and we'll come back. So do you know how Jyn was as a substitute teacher? Did she sound the same way she does now when she was a teacher? No, and I wouldn't know. This is the first I've heard that she was a teacher. Why didn't Deb and Chris make Stephan get job training and make his own way? And they said, we tried multiple approaches through the years trying to help him find a professional path. We provided opportunities, financial aid, offered to pay for necessary educational support, even if it meant he would return to California or go to Colorado. Nothing clicked. How do the Sterns feel about accountability? Is it a thing to outsmart or walk into humbly? They say, we recognize the gravity of the situation and its impact on all that are involved in suffering Maddie's loss. Okay. Does Deb understand now that Stephan didn't have insomnia and he was up all night playing with his photo collection of abused children? Which, let me just make just to have this like on the record, with us here on the channel, the way that I read it in the police records is that those photos on that hard drive they hadn't been touched for like 4 or 5 years. So, and that's separate, and he's not been charged with that, which I'm sure they could. I don't know all how exactly that would work, and like how long they have to charge for something like that before they can't charge anymore. But so listen to what they say. Stephan has medically diagnosed conditions that affected his ability to sleep. While he may have been doing exactly that, we weren't in the room with him. Anytime I ever opened the door, he was playing Warhammer and would have done. I think I cut out for a second. Do you feel guilty not reporting it? Because had you reported it, as any normal person would have done, you could have saved Maddie's life. So do you have any guilt for not reporting it to law enforcement or child protection services? And they say no. There was nothing to report. As previously stated, Maddie acted in a normal manner. We had no concerns. You cannot miss what was never revealed to you. What is it for you that kept you going for so long, and what changed the regular contact and funding you were doing for him in the beginning? What keeps us going is that we love our son. Nothing has changed. We are in contact with him as much as we are allowed. You said the craziness Maddie lived through with Jyn's various partners. This was in your email to Stephan after he went to jail. Can you elaborate? From the conversations I had with Jyn, she shared a variety of relationships that I can only imagine may have been confusing for Maddie at times. How did you become aware of these things? Did Stephan say things to you, and how was he aware? Did Jyn tell him? Did Maddie tell him? Jyn told us. What was so crazy about Jyn's other relationships? Jyn spoke about some fairly crazy people she dated. Her words exactly, crazy. I believe she would know best how to describe them, and I just quoted her. Oh my God. Yeah, she sure did. You're right. She picked terrible partners. Like monsters, disgusting people. Do you and Chris feel like Stephan is covering for Jyn in any way? And we're almost done, you guys. Chris and I do have the same questions and concerns about the whole situation, the dynamics of the relationship. We do have some thoughts about Jyn's role. Okay. So, and then these are all the texts where they were talking about, like, by the way, they said that, that was a dog seatbelt attached to the harness. They're making accusations about Jyn getting Botox and where did she get that money, because they believe that there was a whole criminal type of organization going on here, like here on the dark web. It was her idea, and I think it was her idea, always more money. So let's not be mistaken, though. These are just accusations, ideas, things that she thinks, right? We haven't seen proof of that. And I don't mind to kind of talk about the speculation that's out there and kind of the what ifs, but I just always want to be really clear that it is just speculation. This is literally just his mom kind of giving her thoughts and what she believes, She said she saw Maddie dressed that morning. I'm sure she helped to dress her, except she said Maddie was alive. BS. She was off meds. How else would she know what Maddie had on? So while they were talking about the hidden true crime interview, she was responding in text. The link, again, is in the description. I'm going to let you guys go. Here's the deal. We're going to come back. I know that we're doing Casey tomorrow on Melissa's. I think we'll come back here tomorrow and discuss whatever happens in Stephan's hearing and kind of final thoughts on this interview, because we don't really have time to get into it too much now. And it's hard. Like, I don't know. I try to be careful because it's so serious. It's an important, serious conversation that should happen. But I just want to do it the right way. So it makes me really nervous, and I kind of overthink my words. So I need to digest this. We'll come back. There's a lot of witnesses apparently happening in this hearing tomorrow. I'm going to drop the article regarding that. And the hearing, my friend Jyn is going to stream it on her channel. I see it's already set for 2:45. So 3 links are coming. We have the article that talks about the hearing, Melissa Jade's link, which actually, let me get her exact live link. So I'm going to drop the link to Jyn's channel. Actually, let's do it like this. I'm going to drop the link to both lives happening. So 1 second. Let's see. The hearing tomorrow first, and then the live we're going to. So you guys can hit the notification bell on the hearing for tomorrow, and it'll remind you. Okay, Jyn, 1 second. So there's the hearing, the first link. And then let me get Melissa's link. Okay. And then join me over at my friend Melissa's channel for some Tisha stuff. It'll be a nice break from everything else, even though she's chaotic and crazy, and it's just, all of these subjects are hard. Honestly, they can be hard to talk about, but okay. All right, you guys. So again, the last link I just dropped is the live we're getting ready to go to. Please join me over there to listen to Melissa. And the other link is the hearing for tomorrow. And I'll see you guys tomorrow night for Casey Anthony and to discuss this hearing and this interview. Thank you for being here with me. I appreciate you guys. I really do. And tomorrow I'll give out the memberships that YouTube gives us because I haven't given them for this month. So, and yeah, thank you guys for everything. Hope you have a great night, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.